Welcome back to the Hooligans Pitch. This is episode 24, Monday night edition. Super Bowl got in the way of our Sunday primetime spotlight, but Chad, welcome back. Good to see you. Been a couple days.
Yeah, it's been a busy couple days. Super Bowl, all these games.
It has been a lot of sports going on. Good sports, good fun. This weekend, didn't get to watch a whole lot of footy. Caught glimpses of it. Got to watch the game today, which we can talk about that
Good one.
Hey man, look at that. See it? Looks good. We're wearing red today. It's nice. So let's get started. What are you drinking?
Just a classic Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze. It's just so yummy. I saw it in the store today and said, look, that's got the podcast written all over it.
Nice.
So here I am.
Nice. I'm going classy.
Mm-hmm.
I made myself a smoked whiskey because we did not get smoked. We did the smoky. So rolling with that today. Little Woodford Reserve. Right. Haven't had a sip yet. Saving it for this pod.
Wonderful.
I used cherry wood. Whew. Nice.
See that? Your mood from last week to this week is just, you're a whole new person.
I don't even remember what we talked about last week, to be honest.
It was a tough one.
What even has this is a new season, a new beginning?
Yeah.
I just have to set my expectations to the floor, and good things come.
Look, as a Arsenal fan for a few years, I've been there where it's just like you go into every game and you're like, okay, here we go, and like you have no real expectation, I guess, and then something happens. You're like, all right,
hey,
good week.
We counterattacked and we passed. Yeah. Didn't know we could do that.
Yeah, I mean,
about time. All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
We left off last Sunday. Depressing day for both of us. We both did not have a good day.
Wasn't great. Yeah.
I can't say you had the best of weekends either. To be fair, some pretty bad officiating. Maybe the worst ever.
You want to start with this?
I really do. And here's why. How many draws do we get this weekend?
Oof.
7?
One.
Maybe not that many. 6 or 7. There was a lot.
4, 5. 5.
Okay.
5.
Well, felt like all of them. That was my favorite draw of the weekend because probably shouldn't have been a draw.
Oof. I mean, yeah, like, it's just what can you do, right? Like,
what do you do, man?
At this point, they're coming out and apologizing for the mistakes that the refs and VAR are making, but game's done and over with. Like, I'm not saying Brentford wouldn't have still scored or what, but they certainly shouldn't have gotten that goal.
This reminds me of the South Park episode. We're just like, we're sorry.
Yeah, like it's great. They're conducting their investigations and finding themselves wrong and apologizing, but it's too late. Like, especially for Arsenal when it's already was going to be a tight title race with City, and this is maybe a big 2 points that Arsenal now don't have. Like,
are you nervous?
I don't know.
Does it make you a little more nervous?
I mean, a little bit more, but like, I'm kind of hoping that this kind of gives the Arsenal squad a little bit of that, like, everyone's against us sort of vibe. Like, and especially now that like the refs have come out and said that they got it wrong, so it's like I'm hoping that kind of lights that fire and says, okay, well, they're admitting they're wrong, but like they're still just officiating poorly. So like we got to go out and just like make sure we win these games, not have these little, 1-0 scraps until the end, and then who knows what call can happen. Like you got to put that win in your hands and control your destiny a little bit more. So nervous, yes, but like optimistically nervous, I guess.
This is a big week coming up.
Yeah. City on Wednesday, so we'll see. I mean, it's at home. City got the win in the FA Cup, but like didn't look overly dominant in that game. So I don't know. I'm like, yeah, like cautiously optimistic / nervous moving forward here, like for the rest of the season, I think.
No, that's totally fair. Good to see Trossard get on the scoreboard, though. He looked really happy when he scored.
Yeah.
So that was good to see. But man, what a weird thing to happen. And I read on ESPN FC that guy who was in charge of VAR is now no longer doing big games. But at that point, I'm like,
Yeah.
why is he there at all?
Well, yeah, that's what I just don't understand. Like, it's, as far as I know, 2 guys in the VAR room, for every game. So between the 2 guys now in there, you guys are just both forgetting to put the lines down, or like not check this section of, or phase of the play, and
that's insane.
It's just wild. Like, as the VAR, like, you have one job, and that's to look at these reviews and place the lines when it's an offside review, and simple stuff. Like, what job lets you go and just like forget a key component of your job description? And that's cool. Like, you get a couple days off, but we'll see you next weekend. Like,
it's crazy. What bugs me the most too is it wasn't relayed to the viewer or the fans appropriately on kind of what was going on either and what they were looking at. And there's no general time limit on how long they have to look at these things. They could have taken much longer to look at. And we've seen VAR where it's been like, wow, like this is taking a long time. I can't say in real time, did it go fairly quickly? How long would you say that look was?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know, maybe 2-3 minutes. Like, it was definitely like one of the longer VAR reviews, but they spent that whole time looking at the initial offsides of Pinnock coming in and receiving the ball. But like, I guess maybe because he took too long with that, he felt pressured and had to like throw out an answer, so he didn't check the rest of the play, which is like, it's kind of a hard, I guess, thought process, because you don't want VAR to go out with the goal of denying a goal or denying, a I don't know, penalty or something. Like, it should kind of support the ref, but correct them if they're wrong. And I feel like they started at the front of the play, which fair enough, but maybe do your initial check and say like, okay, well, that spot looks a little iffy, but let's like play it through and see if there's anything else to look at, and kind of check the whole thing briefly, and then go back to like, yeah, that first kick, let's see, I think he's off, or like, yeah, but that shot right before the goal, like he was ahead, so he could have been off. Like, I don't know.
But they didn't say what they were looking at, right? They just said they were looking at the first image which they showed the viewer, but they didn't look at anything else past that, correct?
Correct, yeah. So the only thing they checked was Gabriel was defending Pinnock, and the only camera view viewers got was from kind of behind Pinnock, and you couldn't really see Gabriel, so it was kind of a hard read of, was he off or not? Like, it's just, I was kind of okay with like that one being kind of too obscured to have a definitive answer, but like, you still got to check the rest of the play.
Well, right. We don't get all those angles right away, but they do.
Yeah. So
when I watched it back, I was seeing replays, so I saw those angles, and the very first thing I thought when I was watching all of them was like, oh, like that guy looks off. Like why wasn't that looked at heavier? And I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, yeah, like, I'll say that the defending on that play was just bad. Like, it Arsenal should get punished for that, but fairly, right? So I don't know. And just like that not being the only big mistake this weekend for VAR, it was just like,
well, here's a good stat for you. How many times do you think Lee Mason has messed up on VAR this year?
Well, I know at least twice with Arsenal, so I want to say I'm just gonna go like 5.
Yeah, it's number 6.
See, that shouldn't happen. Like, and I get
Right?
there is, like, technically, yes, a human element to it, and that's what they blamed here is just human error. But come on, like, human error can happen with the on-field refs because you're watching it, full speed live. Like, you're in the moment. I get it, it's hard, but VAR, you have all the views, all the slow-mos, all the lines, all the different tricks that they can use to decipher the play, but to call human error on that, and it's just
how do we change this moving forward?
Well, I mean, I think still you need at least to be able to hear the conversation between VAR and ref, like as viewing fans at home.
Would be nice.
I think that would be nice, and that would clear up a lot of questions right away. Like, though it does open it up now of like, okay, well, Pinnock is like maybe off here but not, and then they say, okay, well, not, and then like forget the rest of the play. So like then we clearly know that they're forgetting part of their job,
or they just don't know. They just don't know their job good enough. A lot of referees have such an ego where they'll never be wrong, so they can kind of just, I don't want to say make it up, but
no.
Now that we can hear them talk, like that's, I don't think that'll ever happen. I don't think we'll ever get to hear them talk to one another.
Maybe not, but I mean, it would be a nice way to hold them a little bit more accountable, right? Like, instead of now, it's just shrouded in mystery, and whether moving forward we get the live conversation between the two, or at least like post game they released, the conversation, so we can have some idea of what they were thinking.
What if we had coaches challenges?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we maybe talked about this before.
Probably in September when all this shit was going down.
Like, like, you want to keep the game flowing, and I think that's why the VAR checks sometimes, like, if they're taking too long, then they get a little flustered and they just gotta like throw something out to get the game back going. But I'd almost be fine with if it's going to a VAR check and significant enough that we're holding the game, then maybe that's a point where we just stop the clock, right? And like let that play out. Because you do want these to give you the right decision and right result. And granted, still you don't want them to like sit around for 5-10 minutes while they nitpick every little thing, but I think it would take at least some of the pressure off of the VAR officials when they know the clock is stopped and they're not technically using up game time or anything. But then we also kind of need to couple that in with like, you got to bring in the World Cup at a time. Like, you got to be more accurate at that. Like the Arsenal Brentford game ended with 5 minutes, and there was 2 goals in that. The VAR check, subs, people cramping up, wasting time, and like 5 minutes is just nothing. It flies by. But if you go accurate, or more accurately at least, and it is that 10, 11, 12-minute thing that we saw in the World Cup, then I'm not saying Arsenal would have got a second goal or anything, or maybe would have conceded another goal. I don't know, but at least most of the game will have been fully played at that point, and players would know it's if that's how time will get added on, then like me sitting down here pretending I have a head injury is no longer worth it.
Right.
Yeah,
that would be neat to see, but that was the biggest question was coming back from the World Cup was, are we going to get that injury time? I remember the first game back we didn't get it. I was like, oh no, it's
like 2 minutes, you're done.
It's like, yeah, that was wished upon, and it's gone now. So that was a toughie. That's a tough one.
Yeah. I don't know. In the highlights, did you see any of the other VAR decisions? No. I don't know if they really showed them too much. I guess just to kind of stay on VAR, and we'll jump around a little bit, but in the what they played Thursday or Friday, Man United versus Leeds, round 1.
Mm-hmm.
Lisandro Martinez has this like pretty blatant kick out.
Yes, I did see this.
Okay, that one's like, I don't know that it was ever checked.
I don't believe it was.
Yeah,
because I remember Zach complaining about it.
Yeah, and it's like, that's one of those where these players know what they're doing. Like, you talk to any past pro player and they all say the same thing. Like, we know what we're doing. Of like, yeah, we accidentally stepped on their ankle as we got up. It's like, come on, like. And on this one, they're laying on the ground, and then he's like swings his leg back like some like horse kick sort of deal, and it's like just zero check, zero look at it. And
he's in the top 1% of a sport with their legs being their main profession, and he's telling me he doesn't know what his leg is doing. Like, no way, right? No way, you're lying.
Yeah. So
yeah, that was okay. That wasn't. It's hurting you. This is like a vent.
I mean, yeah, it's just been a weekend of poor decisions. Yeah. I mean, even to go into their next game of Leeds versus United, Wout Weghorst got a goal called off incorrectly. I think the ball came in from a corner, or it might have just been a cross. And Harry Maguire goes up for it with a defender. Ball comes off defender, lands at Weghorst's feet, and he kicks it in from an offside position. But it was headed to him really from a defender. VAR checked it, said it came off of Maguire, but then like every view that they showed fans, it's like kind of like head, shoulder of the defender it comes off of. But they still called him off.
I didn't see this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to find that one right now.
It's just like
it's no consistency.
No, and I mean that would be one of those where if you can hear the live talk between ref and VAR would be, helpful as a fan viewing it, because as we see it, it looks like clearly comes off the defender, and then at that point, regardless of where Weghorst is, he's eligible to play the ball because it came off defender.
For them to say that didn't come off the defender,
yeah.
Especially, they're zooming in on these plays and looking.
Yeah.
How do you tell me that came off of Maguire? I can tell right here with a naked eye. I see the guy's arm up.
Yeah,
and he's like corralling it. Man, I don't know.
So, that was kind of a rough one. Do you see Souček playing some goalkeeping?
No, he was in goal out of him. Yeah, I thought I did a good job watching it. I guess again, I can't wait.
Well, I mean, no, he's not really goalie, but the shot comes in and he kind of does like a fall into the path of the ball, but like saves it with his arm. And I'm assuming VAR called it fine because he's going down and using his arm to brace himself, but he doesn't really. He like kind of leans into it with his arm as he kind of dives towards the ball.
Dude.
It's I think a pretty clear penalty. I'm happy to as an Arsenal fan end that game in a draw and not a Chelsea win.
True.
To be fair, they should have got a penalty there.
He did say after the game that his father was a great goalkeeper, so some of it rubbed off on him.
See? He knew what he was doing there.
What he was doing.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last one I got for you. Crystal Palace, Brighton.
Yes.
Estupinan? I don't know how to say this guy's name. He's a midfielder for Brighton. He has a pretty nice run through the back line, grabs the pass, scores a pretty nice goal, gets called off, but only because the VAR placed the lines incorrectly.
Oh, I did see this one.
Doesn't place it on the the last part of the defender. It's like, what?
Who was in charge of that one?
I don't know. I don't know if Lee Mason takes like the whole weekend or what, but
That's a good question too.
because if
No,
that's the
John
case,
Brooks.
John Brooks.
Don't know who
Okay,
that
well,
is, but
yeah, but I mean, again, it's the basic. It's probably the thing you check most as far is offside. So you should have that down easy. Like offside check. All right, where's the furthest point of the defender? Cool, there, line, boom, good or not. Like it shouldn't really be something that comes down to human error like that. Like
that's bad. That's really bad. It says, however,
yeah,
the offside line was wrongly drawn on James Tompkins rather than his fellow Palace defender Mark Guehi, who was standing just behind him. If the line had been drawn on Guehi, Brighton's left back would have been onside and the goal would have stood. That is absurd.
that's what I'm saying.
Because that's a win for Brighton, and that puts him in. Does that put him in top 4? No, they're not that close, are
No.
they? They're close. They'd be at 38.
Yeah,
30,
so I mean, Brighton right now is playing great and playing themselves into European positions, which for that club would be an incredible season. So, I mean, just as important, I guess, for Arsenal and their title charge, like it's equally important for Brighton here to get as many points as they can. Like
it's awful.
For things to come down to refs just messing up, and like again, if it was an on-field ref that messed up, I get it, but that's what VAR should check you on. You can't have VAR messing up like that.
Dude is sitting in a booth with a couple monitors around him with every angle of what's going on. How? Ooh, man, that is a can of worms that I would be investigating these guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was kind of nice. Arteta kind of came out and kind of called them out for it, and I don't think he's gotten any fine or anything from that yet. But again, at this point, it's too little, too late to just apologize. Like, and you can, say, well, take further look at the process and how we conduct VAR review and everything in the summer. But at that point, Arsenal could miss out on the title, and I don't know if next year we're going to be performing this well. And it's just there's no real like way to fix it right now, and that just kind of sucks for so many teams and so many players. Like, I don't know. Like Arsenal Brentford split the points, but that game could have very well went both ways. So you can't just hand out points retroactively. I get that, but call it fairly in the moment. Like,
yeah, that's cruel. And with titles, two things need to happen. You need to be pretty injury free, which for the most part Arsenal has been that for the most part, and you got to have some luck. And right now, the luck isn't really happening.
No, and I mean, like, this is one of those games where, Arsenal was not playing well, but they were about to potentially scrape by with just a shoddy win. But like, you've seen those title-winning teams do that time and again, where it's like, oof, we are not up to the races today, but they make something happen, get the win out of it, and just move on. Like, a draw. A draw is not the worst result here, but like, it is a now 2-point less gap with City right on the tail. Like,
and respect to Brentford too, because they got a top defense who doesn't let in a lot of goals, especially since me and Pinnock have been back there together.
Yeah, I mean, I think a draw on the day was probably pretty fair to Brentford. If not, maybe a win for them. Really, like they played great, and Arsenal is definitely not up to their normal standards, but I think that is kind of coming down to like just how Arsenal plays against teams that can defend really structured and compact, like with Everton last week. It's like clearly not they don't have a good tactic to break that down. So Brentford, like, I think a draw is fair. I think they maybe could have got the win from the game, honestly. But again, you had that little bit of luck on your side as the you know title charge team here, and get the one goal, and maybe you see out the rest of the game. It's 1-0. You shouldn't have won, but you did, and you move forward. But now it's like took the air out of it a little bit, and just I don't know.
Yeah, that's brutal.
VAR, man. I try not to let that get to me, but like when it was this week, where it was just like game after game after game, was just poor calls, and what can you do?
It's a love-hate, man. It's we all wanted it, and then once we got it, we're all like, fuck it.
Yeah, it's clearly has a lot of room to grow.
Yes.
I think as long as we continue to see it grow, and whether they implement the automatic offside check thing that they had at the World Cup, I think that works pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I think you maybe just want a little bit more of a margin of error, so it's not the big toe causes the offside thing again. I mean, yeah, they're making improvements. Will the Premier League implement all these things? I don't know, but you would hope so. I mean, I think that's all we can do as fans, is kind of like voice our frustration when they do decide incorrectly, and hope they take it constructively and builds a better system from it. But I don't know.
I mean, it's still a very new thing in terms of the Premier League and just footy in general, but it's been a roller coaster. It's not been very straightforward.
No, not at all.
Well, to one controversy, do we jump to another?
Yeah, let's get it out of the way.
All right. Where should we start with the Blue Moon team that we got? Are they going to be a team in English football in the next year? Because last I checked, no league has to accept them.
Yeah. So, let's just quick recap for anyone who hasn't heard that by this point. Premier League's been investigating City for past 4 years. And just last week,
it was
Monday,
I think it was last Monday. It was the day after we did our podcast.
Yeah. They released their list of charges, and I think it's like 115 separate charges, some dating back to like the 09-10 season. Kind of covers like 4 main groups from what I've read. One of them clearly is like their financial accounts are just a lot of lies and a lot of wrongdoing, especially some sponsorship deals.
The sponsorships are the big one. Yeah.
There's also some like weird little side contracts, consultancy fees that they're like have paid to some managers, and I'm assuming some players as well.
Now, before you go forward, do you think Yaya Toure was an informer? I'm on team he was.
I could see it. I mean, dude got upset he didn't get a birthday cake, so
I think we'll probably never know, but yeah. I think he is bitter towards that club to this day and knows some dirt and said, I didn't get a birthday cake. Anyway, continue. I just wanted to bring that up because I remember that vaguely I remember that very clearly when he didn't get that cake, and I was like, damn, it's just a cake, dude. Now I'm like, it was just a cake.
But it's one of those where like you should have gave him that cake because he knew more than you maybe wanted him to. But anyway, there's also some, I think, like licensing requirements or I guess requirements, but to play in Europe that they, I think, technically have filed correctly, but if these accounts charges are proven true, then like their licensing to play in Europe would be invalid. So like they're kind of getting not punished for that yet, but it's kind of bundled into everything. And then I guess City just stopped cooperating with this investigation for the past like 4 or 5 years, which to me is always kind of a red flag. But you know, as far as charges go, I think is just some of the like petty ones of like, you're not going to work with us. Well, here you go. Like, here's a charge for you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a lot. As far as I've heard, this is going to like an independent committee to review now. And there's no real guidelines or like flow chart that they follow of like, you committed this charge and you're guilty, so this happens. Like, the punishment is kind of open-ended from what I've been reading.
And who gets to choose this punishment?
I think it's going to be whatever this independent committee decides, which I think was only like 3-4 people or something. Like, it's pretty small, which is probably what you want in this situation, especially with so many charges. Like, you just need everyone to kind of get on the same page. But yeah, I mean, you could get like a point subtraction, like we've seen with Juventus.
Right.
I mean, you can always do the like financial punishment, but that will mean nothing.
No.
You know, City has stupid money, so like whatever you come up with won't really help. And I've seen, you know, taking the titles away that they've won in the past years, which like, yes, if these is all true, like should happen, but like, I don't know it's a good enough punishment, right? Like, so Liverpool would be awarded a title or two, which is great. But in for City, like, yes, they're not as successful in these past years, but is it like a real punishment? Like, I don't think so.
And like,
but then
and that doesn't do anything for me as a fan. Like, oh, cool, like we won the championship.
Get the bus
year.
going.
Like, I saw some of the tweets come out from players of old, just saying like, "Are we taking that bus ride? Like, let's go." Before you keep going, I got one little tidbit that I found. Mm-hmm. What is the most famous Man City goal in your mind?
Most famous, probably the Aguero title winner.
Did you know? This is going to be some pub trivia.
Oh boy!
Did you know that is Mario Balotelli's only assist ever?
Ever? Like, not just at City, just
ever. What? And you know that wasn't that intentional of a pass.
No,
he slipped.
How is that? How has he never had any other assist?
Why would the man pass?
I get it, but even Haaland got an assist this week. Like,
Balotelli, man.
You're up there. I figure at some point.
I couldn't believe it. I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about it, and they were like, they basically how I just said it to you, like, what's the most famous goal? That was the only assist he ever had. Crazy.
That's incredible. Like,
that
is a really good. Well, yeah. So do we take the assist off as well?
Well, and that's the next thing I'm curious about. How do stats work? Because Aguero, man, he had tore it up, but like,
I mean, I guess
they strip his golden boot. Are they going to strip his records? Because if they're going to strip Man City's records, do the players get associated with that? I don't know. There's a lot of questions that go into that. So, it's a big can of worms.
Yeah, it's a lot of unknown now at this point. Like, I think we just got to kind of wait out the eventual lawyer battle and all that.
What do you want to happen?
I mean, from what I've heard and read, just in my like some research since this came out, but just other hearings as over the past few years, like, some of these sponsorship deals are just complete bogus. Like, there was one where it was like the address was like a PO box in London, and the company is like one dude, and it's like, this, you're not getting like a mom and pop shop to be a sponsor for Manchester City. Like, it's all big corporations and stuff. It's so like, there is definitely some weird deals that go on, and for it to be this many charges, I think is pretty damning. Like, it's not just they found like one thing and then like jumped at the gun. They took 4 years to like get this all together. So I think you should probably be able to find them guilty on most of the charges at least. But as far as punishment, like, yeah, it's hard to say because you can remove them from the Premier League, and from what I understand, they can't just be like just relegated. They would have to be removed from like the English Football League and then like reapply. And then the English Football League kind of decides like where you land. But like, given the day and age of it, I don't think you would like get reinserted back into the Premier League, since there is, all the promotion and relegation and everything. And but then at that point, whether you get placed in the Championship or League One or something, you're still getting promoted. Like, a lot of players will leave, but you still have, even if you're doing your financials correctly, they still have way more money than any of those lower league teams. So right. Like, they'd be out of the Premier League for 1, 2, maybe 3 years, come back in and, still work their way up and still be a powerful team.
So would we see, so say they get put in Championship, would we see 4 teams get promoted this year?
That's the way I've understood it.
Okay. Because that'd be interesting.
Yeah, which, I mean, would be kind of cool to see.
Right.
But I don't know the specifics on it, because I think it was Serie A when Juventus got relegated because of all their match fixing and all that. I think they just like made them one of the teams to get relegated, and then it was really only like 2 other teams that season got relegated, since Juventus was like a nailed in, like took one of the relegation spots. So I don't know if that would really be the same thing here, but
that would make the most sense.
It would make the most sense. But then I was seeing that like they can't just do that, that they would be just removed from the football pyramid, and then it would have to like reapply. So I don't know exactly how that'll go. I think kind of your best route is like, because I'm trying to think of it as like the Premier League as a business and a brand, right? You can't go too soft with this, because then your Chelseas, your probably Arsenals, Liverpools, all the teams that have a lot of money will then see, okay, well, we can spend whatever we want, pay a little fine, and we're good to go. You can't come too soft, because then your brand image kind of gets wrecked a little bit in that of like, Premier League is most competitive league and all this, and it's like, well, not really anymore, because it's corrupted and tainted, and you can kind of do what you want, just pay a little fine on the side.
It'd be really hard to continue to like be a fan if all these teams could get away with doing this.
Oh yeah. So it's like Premier League's kind of in a tough spot of protecting their brand image, and unfortunately Man City in the past 10 years or whatever has been a big part of their brand image, because they have been so successful. So you're kind of like, eating yourself a little bit, but you also want to come out fair but strong in your punishments, so this doesn't happen again. So I don't know. I think you probably do some financial punishment just so Premier League can take some money. I guess probably just strip them of their titles that they've won in these affected seasons. And then I would say maybe just like you start the next season with like a pretty significant points deduction like right away. So like if you guys have another 100 something point season, well, like you're gonna need it and to have any hope of like winning this season. But then really that's like a 1 season punishment.
Yeah, they should draw this out over multiple seasons.
Which you could maybe do.
That'd be kind of sweet.
If it's been going on for 10 years, maybe you just do a 10-year like
you're already down 15 points to start the next 10 years. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, yeah, I don't know. it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. Yeah, I mean, I think you got to find that balance of like fair, harsh punishment and not too soft.
Yeah, I hope they get punished enough. I would be okay with them going down a league and them having to work themselves back up. It would be really interesting to see what they do with their players. Obviously, they don't want to lose them, but at the same time, those players want to stay.
Look, all I'm saying is if Holland's already got 25 goals in Premier League, if he stays and they're in a lower league, he's getting like 60 and just in the league. Like,
it would be fun.
It would be fun, but yeah, geez, I don't know. They got a lot to go through and a lot to decide.
Okay, one more hypothetical before maybe we jump to another subject. But say they get top 4 this year. Say they get relegated to whatever league they're going to go to. Do they still make Champions League? That might be some research that we have to do, but I haven't seen anything on that.
I would think maybe no.
Because they'd be put at the bottom of the table?
Only because, yeah, like it's not just, you didn't miss out on Champions League by points or anything. Like, you've committed these crimes and have been like physically removed from the competition,
Yeah.
So I would think it'd probably just, if they finish in the top 4, now it's really this season, instead of 20 teams in the league, there was 19. So like, you just kind of go next down the list, which for your Liverpools and Chelseas this season might be a pretty good deal.
I'll allow it.
But I don't think we're going to find anything so quickly anyway.
Yeah, not.
This season will probably finish, and I wouldn't be surprised if it takes, almost all of next season before we really hear much. Like, it's a lot of charges to go through, and, City's lawyers are going to fight tooth and nail on every single one, and work is cut out, that's for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Pep does too, because I know he said like a couple of weeks ago, the integrity of the club matters, blah blah blah. Now they're getting like sued essentially, and now I'm waiting for someone to ask him a question about it. But who knows? It's a weird one. That's a weird one.
Yeah. Well, from that.
Oh, I got a good segue. So
do it.
VAR was probably the lowest of the week. Man City right above VAR. Bednarek's own goal right above that.
Every time I see it, I laugh.
Dude,
it's
I
so
laughed
good.
so hard. I was like, that is in his face. Where he's like, what am I supposed to do?
It's just
this weekend, from what I saw, looked like some of the worst defenses I've ever seen, with the ball just bouncing off of everyone and ricocheting and rebound goals. It was just like, what happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this one, like, it looks like Bednarek has it and will take care of it, and then he just kind of like turns around and like falls and kicks it in. It's like it was just so like funny. It caught me off. Yeah, it caught me off guard when I first saw it, because it's not your typical like, oh, someone shot it and bounced off his thigh and went in or something. It's like, yeah, it's like slow motion kind of weird fall turn thing.
I'm not gonna lie, I have to watch it again, just because the first time I saw it, I saw him on the score sheet, I was like, oh man, he got OG, and I was like, geez, I was like, that's how ridiculous. See, I'm gonna count how many bodies went off of. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh. Like, why was this momentum? Like, why did he was facing away from the goal, that all of a sudden like turned himself into it? Oh, dude, embarrassing. Do you think he's rusty?
I think that's probably part of it. Like, he certainly hasn't played a lot this year. But I mean, come on, like, it's not like that shot was so crazy that he had to reach for it or something. Like, it was pretty much right at him, and he pretty much stopped it initially, and then just kind of wobbles around There it goes. It's in the goal.
One of the better OGs we've seen this year.
Yeah, for sure.
That game was interesting. Credit to Wolves for never giving up.
Wow, yeah. I think pretty much the whole time it looked like Southampton never really took advantage of having the extra man. Like they definitely had some decent attacks there, but I mean, really, like you can't lose when you got the man advantage and you already have a goal up on them. Like
they were winning before the card even came out.
Yeah, although his card too. Not to go back to VAR, but that was a very strange second yellow card. I don't know if you caught it.
I saw it. I'm gonna watch it again. Because when I was scanning through everything, it did go kind of fast.
Yeah, it's so like he gets a good yellow card early on for like a pretty rough tackle, so fair enough. But then his second yellow, I think he's like the second or third player to approach the ref to, complain about whatever, and it looks like he's kind of running up and like tapping his arm, like calling for a handball or something, and for whatever reason, the ref just singles him out and gives him the second yellow, and so sends him off. And it seemed just very like strange. Like he's not up in the ref's face or anything. He wasn't the first to run over to the ref and complain. It just, I don't know, looked at the ref weird, I guess, and ref just said you and gave him that second yellow.
It looked like a ref ego.
I think so.
It did kind of just happen out of nowhere. Like the play was kind of just going, unless he said it, he might have said a no word.
Which, could be. But I mean, I think it would be nice to kind of get the rugby style of ref is mic'd up. So then
clear up.
You kind of have that. Yeah. They can do a lot of like little things that have been proven to work in other sports and other leagues to just make a lot of these processes better. And even like the mic on the ref gives the ref more protection. So if these players are mouthing off to him, he can send them off knowing that there's a recording of that player like saying something disrespectful and whatever. But anyway, getting away from that and back to Southampton Wolves. Wolves never say die.
Staying alive. They move up to 15th, which
they made a good charge here in the past couple weeks,
and a little padding.
They got the Southampton manager fired from this game.
Oh, so that happened.
That happened.
Whoa!
When
did that happen? That happened today?
Maybe yesterday. I think Sunday. Maybe.
Okay, yesterday.
I don't know. Which I think is a little bit harsh.
He's there for 3 months.
He's there for 3 months. He's in. I think it was. In all competitions he managed for 14 games. They won 6, drew 0, lost 8. Considering Southampton is not terrible, but I think only because they were already so deep into the relegation battle, it was like they needed uptick right away, and this wasn't enough. And then, I mean, this game was kind of just a bad one anyway, where it's like you got the man advantage and can't really take advantage of that. I mean, it's a quick turnaround, but I get, if you're trying to stay up in the league, I guess you got to do whatever you can. And
they saw Everton do what they did.
I think so, yeah.
And they said, okay, we got to match that. Which now, who's going to go to Southampton?
I don't know. Actually, I just saw today Jesse Marsh is apparently on the short list for that. Oh, jeez. So I'm just going to jump into the Jesse Marsh thing real quick.
Cool.
So if you hadn't heard, he got sacked from Leeds.
Did that happen? Oh, no, we talked about that. We did.
Yeah. So in his time there, he managed for 32 games, 8 wins, 9 draws, 15 losses. A little bit rough. 39 goals for, 53 goals against. Again, not terrible for where Leeds kind of ends up in the table.
Right.
I think the one that hurts and probably has been hurting, their last league win was November 5th.
Oh, against
Granted,
Liverpool?
No, they won against Bournemouth, like I think right after that.
Oh, okay.
Granted, there is the World Cup break in there, so like it's not as long of a time as it sounds. But still, just like clearly not getting great performances out of the team. Or maybe that's a little harsh to say, but like not being able to see out games and finish off opponents, you know, which I've like definitely said before on this for some of their games. But I think for me, just the timing of it felt very just strange. Like you go through all of January where like it's not an overnight decision. Like the board or whoever's deciding knew he's kind of on the rocks here and like it could happen. So like why go through all of January, let him bring in McKinney and stuff and then get rid of him?
Makes no sense.
No, I mean, and again, it's like one of those of like Sean Dyche was available. Like, you know, he's a good manager. He kept Burnley up for so many years, and you know, Everton didn't win today. Like, his first game there was against Arsenal, and you know, got the win from that. Like, he's a good manager. He can pretty much not guarantee, but pretty much guarantee you're going to stay up. So if you're already thinking, you know, maybe Jesse Marsch is not our guy, like, I don't know, you don't got to sign Sean Dyche onto a long deal, but, you know, just get him there for the rest of the year or you know, this season plus next, and then move on to your actual managerial target. But
it shows me they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Just to say it in a few words, it doesn't make any sense why you'd have your manager go out and scout during the winter transfer window and try to figure out who he wants. He got the guy he wanted. Had 32 minutes with McKinney, something like that. He got subbed into the 64th in his first game, and then he was fired the next day. Which, by the way, did that happen just a week ago? Was it after our podcast? Because I don't remember talking about it.
I think so, yeah.
After? Man, we got a busy week of news.
Been. Yeah, because both of these games against United was with their temporary manager. So
okay.
But yeah, I don't know. Southampton, if they go with him, I think is a mistake. I think at this point you need someone who has the experience fighting the relegation battle and just the I think the longer tenure of being a manager to come in and right the ship and hopefully save your season a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, Southampton's still bottom of the table, 15 points.
It's not looking good.
Not looking good at all. So James Ward-Prowse might be available for cheap next year. Who knows?
I hope so. A lot of teams can use him.
If any team could get him to actually leave Southampton, that might be the year.
yeah, definitely. Bournemouth, they're sitting down there too.
Yeah.
They had there's Newcastle, which, hey, kudos to them drawing Newcastle. Yeah. Kind of when I watched the replay, kind of a snoozer game.
I mean, I think this is
classic Newcastle, right?
Just, you know, I've said it before, but like, if you want to be top four, you can have the lowest, you know, goals allowed and all these clean sheets, but if you can't turn a draw into a win, you know, Tottenham's looked pretty shitty, and they're still only, you know, you're on 41 points. They're at 39.
Oh, can we talk about Tottenham?
Oh, I'd love to.
Let's talk about Tottenham. It's like Bournemouth's cool, but I'd much rather talk about Tottenham.
Nah, yeah. Well, I want to talk about Leicester.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Team of the week?
I'm just gonna say Leicester is definitely up there for team of the week. I also had Wolves just because they like
came back,
never say die.
Yep.
But players of the week, Iheanacho and Maddison, both with a goal and an assist. And I just want to talk about Iheanacho. This guy looks so calm when he's taking his shots. It's incredible. Like he's just, it's like he's just walking up with a ball so nonchalant, does one little juke and just like just places the shot, like nothing crazy, and it looks just so relaxed and just like just playing Tottenham, like no big deal.
Man, I swear, second half Iheanacho needs to be a thing.
Yeah,
it's really impressive how much he turns up. And why does it take Brendan Rodgers until the second half to figure this out?
That's the weird one. Like, I think Rodgers was really just trying to get fired, and then
they doubled down.
Lester said, "No, man, you're here for at least the season." And then he's like, "All right, like let's get to work."
Oh my god,
but,
it's crazy.
I mean, Madison looked great. Iheanacho looked great. I think Leicester's probably a little bit unfortunate to concede the goal they did. It was another one of those that just like bounced around.
I'm saying, a lot of those this weekend.
But Mendy with the absolute banger.
He's goal of the week nomination
for sure. For sure.
I don't know if he's going to win it yet. We'll talk about the other one, which we're on the same page with these. So, they're my team of the week just because they beat a team that just beat Man City. Seems to be the trend these days. You beat Man City, then you suck the next game. So I don't know if that's like, I mean, Liverpool did it, Tottenham did it.
I mean, look, if Arsenal can beat Man City, I'll take a sucky follow-up game.
Who do y'all play after them?
I got you. Villa. I think it's Villa.
Villa.
Which I just like to get the mental win over City there. I think that'll go a long way. So
that's gonna be so.
But yeah, I mean, it's. Did you see? So Hugo Lloris is out injured, which is a pretty significant loss for Tottenham. They don't have a great backup keeper. Fraser Forster has been in the league with a few different teams.
Southampton was the last time I think I saw him.
I think so. But do you see some of his like movements on some of these shots?
No, are they bad?
I don't know if you just chalk it up to like a little bit of rust and lack of actual game time, but dude just like falling like a statue, like so slow, just no movement in him. And if that's what they're carrying forward for the rest of the season, or at least a handful of games until Hugo comes back, like they're in a rough spot. Like they're already in a pretty rough spot because they just don't look great, and they just lost Bentancur to ACL injury.
Oh, is ACL confirmed?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, Tottenham is not looking great.
Who do you think's older, Fraser or Lloris?
Oh gosh. I would think I'm gonna say Hugo by like a touch, but I feel like that's wrong since you're asking me.
Hugo's got 2 years on him, but you just brought up the fact he was clunky and slow. I was like, that's because he's old. Oh. And I was like, oh wait, I guess he's not that old.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Tottenham's sitting in 5th with 39 points. You're only a couple points off of Newcastle in 4th, but
such a weird team.
You got Brighton, Fulham, and Brentford kind of right on your tail with 35 and 34 points. So now with Champions League coming back into play, or playing a couple more games that they aren't. So I'll see what happens with them, but it's not looking too hot, that's for sure.
Tottenham and Newcastle are the weirdest teams this year. The weirdest top half teams.
Yeah, I'd agree. Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, Liverpool and Chelsea being 9th and 10th.
I guess we're still top half. Let's go. We're still up there.
Still there, yeah.
Don't forget about us. Well, we gave Leicester a nod. We gave the Wolves a nod. I would give it to Leicester over the Wolves just because the Wolves played the worst team in the league, arguably.
Yeah.
And Leicester played Tottenham, who beat the second best team in the league a week ago.
Yeah.
The other shout I want to give as far as players, was Fabianski. Just only allowing the 1 goal against Chelsea. Chelsea only 1 goal in the last 3 games now. I'm going to ride them so hard because of all the money they spent. And so that was 480 million for 1 goal. So that's our ratio right now. And then we'll slowly,
that is pricey.
Yeah, that's a really expensive goal. And arguably it was their least expensive player, I think, that scored it.
Technically, unless they do buy him.
Unless they buy him, right? But right now, how much?
Atletico wants 140.
Oh, get out of here! Is that what they said?
Which Todd Bowley might be crazy enough to do it. Who knows?
You know what? Get your money. Go get it. That's great.
Yeah. So, but I'm cool with Leicester being team of the week. Like you pretty much dominated Tottenham that whole game.
Yeah, they did. That was awesome.
Probably should have been a clean sheet, but things happen, and you had some great goals in there too. So
I know that Mendy goal was. I love that. Is my favorite type of goal when they get a run up on it and the crowd just going.
Yeah, those ones are always so sweet. Like just the perfect power. It's always like a perfect placement in like top corner, like side netting, like just so good, so fun to watch.
Do you have another nomination
for goal?
Yeah,
I do.
Who is it?
Willian.
Dude.
Willian. Dude. Oof.
That's once every 5 years we see that from him. But that was sweet. For how old is he? 34?
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, that was a fast cut. 34.
I mean, yeah, he just sends that defender flying, a little cut back, just perfectly places it, through the crowd.
Weak foot
too.
Dude, how did we choose this week?
Because it was just like so sweet of a hit, I'm on Willian this week.
Willian. I think my gut is telling me Willian too.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're gonna call Leicester team of the week, I'm trying to like divvy it up a little, and because we have 2 really good nominations, I'd be more than happy to give it to Willian as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that Fulham is one of 3 games in the weekend that wasn't a draw. So,
oh my god!
And well, one of 3 games that kept a clean sheet. Are
you counting Liverpool?
Yeah, so you had Fulham versus Forest, Liverpool with the big win over Everton today, and then United over Leeds. That's granted it's Forest, but Forest has been kind of on the up in these past couple weeks. So like to do that without a Mitrovic goal too.
Man. Where is he?
He's a little quiet these days, but saving himself for the run in at the end of the season, I think.
I hope so, Chad. It's like every game that goes by with Forest, and like they have a great game with Navas, and then they lose a game. It's like, man, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, it's
because he played great in his debut.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he played particularly bad here. It's more as like defense kind of let him down, but. Yep. I mean, it's another one of those things where they just bought like so many players, and I think it's obviously taken time for them to all get used to each other, and I don't know. I think you're still kind of paying for that a little bit of like there's no like real set team yet.
They just want to stay alive. I think that's their goal for this year. Stay alive.
Doing it so far, so
yep.
Yeah. I mean, Man City versus Villa, like, game was pretty much over at half. Holland was taken off at halftime with an apparent injury. Pep says he's questionable for the Wednesday game. He's starting. He's gonna start.
Come on, are you kidding me? With all the stuff going down, this has to be Man City's year to win Champions League.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But the clock is ticking even more so.
Yeah, I mean, people are getting older. You got the charges against you. You got whatever the internal stuff is with Cancelo and I'm sure other players. You know, things are happening in City and not necessarily in a good way.
So say, oh man, we're jumping back to City. Just one last thing about City, since we're just talking about in the game. If they have something happen to them and Pep says, my time is done here. He's coached Barcelona. He's coached Bayern. He's coached City. Does he go to Italy? Does he come to the United States? What do you think his next move could be?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think Pep necessarily has this desire to, win a title in all the big leagues. Because if that was the case, I think we would have seen him move from teams a little bit more often than he has.
Right.
I don't know. I think I could see him just kind of letting teams come to him and pitch him, and whatever sounds best. Like, he could just do a 1-2 year deal in the US with, I don't know, Galaxy or someone that has the money to pay him, and that's not a bad place to live. You're in LA, you got California weather and nice house and all that. But Italy, I'm sure, is just as nice when you have the money for it. So
what about PSG? One last round with Messi before Messi bounces to MLS.
He would get Neymar again. Mbappe, if they stay, I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
I could see, I don't know. Like, I don't think he's. I don't think his time as a top manager would come into question or anything, or like he really be associated too much with the wrongdoings of City. But I think every team that has a opening or even a question about their current manager would just call him up and be like, "Look,
sure." And he's still pretty young. He's only 52.
Yeah. He's got plenty of time. So I don't know. That would be interesting part of it too. Like, between whatever happens at the club and then players and staff alike, you're not only used to getting Premier League wages, but you're also used to that level of competition. So
right.
If you go down, a handful maybe stay to like bring the club back to glory, and then most of them, I think, are probably going to say, "Ooh, I need to take like a 80% pay cut." Nah.
Most. Yeah. I imagine most.
Yeah.
All right.
Look, we've gone far too long without you getting to gush over Liverpool winning, so please have the floor.
First goal for Mo Salah since Boxing Day.
He's back, baby.
Oh, my Lord. Well, Nunez played great. Let's just start right there. This is probably the best game he's had. He finally understands, I think, where everyone is going to be. Despite our injuries, I mean, we're still like half a squad right now.
Yeah.
We are never going to play through the midfield. We're going to score our goals when we have to run. Today proves Nunez can. I was a little worried at first. I was like, okay, I've never really kind of seen him like run next to someone like the whole length of the pitch, and that was great. He popped his head up to find Mo Salah in the middle, found Mo, easy goal right down the pipe.
Yeah,
celebrated great. Robo punched Mo in the chest, and Mo was just looking for Darwin, saying like, I got to make sure like he recognizes that was amazing, and that's what we have to do to score goals.
I mean, it's like you posted in the Discord, like that's the classic Liverpool counterattack goal that we've seen time and again in the past few years. So like, just to finally see that again, like they still know they know how to do it. But yeah, I think now Nunez is kind of up to speed on that of like, oh, I don't need to take every shot. Like, there's almost always going to be 1 to 2 other players either with me up here or running in right behind me. So I think that was a good goal for them to score, especially since Nunez was involved in the pass there.
It was the fact that he looked up to find Mo. That was the key takeaway there. In the past, he would just kind of put his head down and, try to shoot it. And usually it just didn't work out. So that was super great. I was just like, thank goodness. I was so relieved. I was like, this has been long overdue. Because I came into this game, I was pretty low. I was like, it's Everton. Yeah, we're at home. But Everton just came out on a hot win.
I was surprised. I thought Everton. I get it's derby rivalry game, and Liverpool hasn't been at their best, but neither has Everton. I thought Everton was going to come out much more similar to how they played against Arsenal, but they just wanted to go toe to toe with Liverpool, which even in a struggling season, Liverpool still has the quality to beat you in that game because that is their game. It maybe hasn't been as effective because of injuries and age and whatever, but Everton, that's not your game. So I don't know why they came out to try to play that way.
They're confident,
I guess, but there you go. You lost 2-0.
He had one shot on goal, couple yellows. Not a whole lot going for them.
No, not at all.
I can't say Liverpool. They took their chances and they got them, but they controlled the game. But they didn't try to do too much, which is great. You don't have to do too much. Score on your counters, and everything will work out just fine. The ending was a little comical. It was just kind of ridiculous. Robo doing Robo things, Pickford doing Pickford things.
Anytime I see it, players just laughing at each other, in a kind of poking fun kind of way like this, it's just great. These are grown men out there, being petty, which is incredible to watch. But then the opposite side always gets so offended at that.
Dude, it was Cody. It was really it was fine because Pickford came in with a huge chest bump and Robo didn't care. He was just I get it. And then Cody came all pissy, not realizing that it was I don't want to say it was fun banter because it wasn't. I wouldn't call it fun, but it was
I think it's just
competitive.
That rivalry.
It wasn't anything malice and something that there wasn't a fight going to break out. But because Cody came in there all hot-headed, Virgil was ready to fight 5 dudes. I don't know if there's a good picture of him where he's just standing there with everyone half his size and he's looking down on them, and I was like, oh my god, please don't get hurt again. But yeah, I don't want to gush too much over that game because that's we came in, we did what we had to do, and now let's look forward to next week. But boy, did we need that one so bad.
Who do you play next?
Newcastle.
Okay, I think this is probably a good building block for that game.
I think so.
'Cause I think Newcastle will probably come to play.
I don't know. Newcastle have been scoring a ton though, so I'm not really too worried. Our defense has been our weak spot. Newcastle has scored 6 goals in the last 6 games, including cup draws. With the most goals coming against Southampton. So they're not scoring a whole lot either.
Yeah.
And then after Newcastle, we get Madrid in Champions League, which I don't have any. I'm gonna just watch that one with a cold pint and just say, hey, whatever happens.
Just along for the ride on that.
Yeah,
one.
No, I'm not gonna stress over that one. Yeah, hey, 2-0. Dos Cero.
That's it. You got to do something and get the points that you can. And if you're gonna get points in any game, it might as well be the rivalry games. So
let's just beat Chelsea. That's let's just stay above them in the table.
If you can stay above Chelsea, while not your best season, successful.
Better than theirs. Yeah, better than theirs.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, you want to do our rosters?
Yeah.
And then I probably gotta hit the hay here soon because it's getting late. How long? We've been going for a little minute here.
I told you this is going to be a long one. We had things to talk about.
Yeah, I swear not that bad. It's been an hour 15.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't go too crazy.
I feel like I went a little crazy.
You feel like you went a little crazy?
A little bit.
Do you want to start with our forwards? Because I feel like they're probably... I bet...
We both have Holland.
We both have Holland.
Okay.
Neymar?
What else? No.
Are you going Messi?
No.
Mbappe? Wow, no PSG forward. Or are you? No PSG forward. Okay. Benzema?
Benzema, yeah.
Okay. I'm going Holland, Neymar, Benzema.
I went with Osimhen from Napoli.
Yep. A lot of money coming his way.
Yeah, clearly. I'm just going to tell you right now, I had a hard time picking anyone from PSG because they seem to be going through some stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
Not playing particularly well. Neymar, I think, came out the other day and said the locker room morale is like bad. Like they almost sound like they're in a little bit of a crumble period. Like, yeah, I don't know. Because I went back and forth on all their strikers. Like Neymar is the only healthy one technically right now.
That was my decision. The healthy one.
Messi, I think they said is back. Mbappe as well, but he came back from like a hamstring injury or something. So I don't know that you'll see much of him, if
we'll see him
at all. You know, that's not a easy thing to come back quickly from. But yeah, I think Holland Benzema is like pretty solid. I almost went Vinicius, but dude, he doesn't exactly get the goals or assists that I thought he might. So yeah,
I'm playing it safe. I'm by far the worst team in this league, so like I have to make crazy moves, but I can go one more round without having to do picks that no one else is doing. I have to pick Holland again.
Yeah.
All right, what's your midfield?
I got Jude Bellingham.
Ooh, I thought about it.
I took Perisic from Tottenham.
Okay.
And then João Mario from Benfica.
Nice. I'm going Marco Reus.
Nice.
KDB.
Almost did him too.
And Musiala.
Nearly took him.
Nearly.
Yeah. Perisic I only took because a lot of their attack play seems to come through him.
Now, is he going to be playing left back?
He normally plays that like left wing back sort of thing,
right.
But he's technically a midfielder.
Right.
And I think especially with Bentancur out, like he was kind of their creative outlet in the midfield. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, as far as I've seen, Milan has not been in a great spot either, so it could just be a total bore fest of a game, 2 games anyway, but fingers crossed. Jude Bellingham, I mean, we know he's great. It was either him or Royce, and I don't know. Jude just has that young vibrancy that I think he's up for it for these games. And
I almost went both. I was really close to doing both. Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah. I wrote down Holland and I put Dortmund in parentheses and I went, whoa.
Oh, whoa.
Like, what year is it?
Yeah.
And then I rethought some things.
João Mario, though.
Interlegend.
He's in some great form right now for Benfica in the league. I think he said like, I want to say like 5 or 6 goals in their past like 3 or 4 games.
Whoa.
So I don't know if he's going to carry that over to Champions League, but fingers crossed.
Okay. Keep an eye out. No Steven Eustáquio?
I looked and it doesn't seem like he's really playing. I don't know if he's hurt or something. Like, I don't know.
See what Theo does.
And yeah, like really he didn't get me the points that I thought he might in that first round, so moved on from him.
In the World Cup, you mean?
Oh yeah. World Cup, yeah.
All right, my defense. Kind of crazy.
All right.
Minjai from Napoli.
Okay.
Ramani from Napoli.
Whoa.
Simon Kaiser from AC Milan.
Okay.
And then going Marquinhos.
Marquinhos is the only PSG player I took.
Okay. What else you got back there?
Sticking with Thiago Silva. He's performed well in the league. Against Dortmund, I feel like it's going to be pretty back and forth.
You think so? You think so?
I think so. Yeah. So I'm hoping for a good amount of clearances and stuff. Because I also took Schlotterbeck from Dortmund. So both sides. Either someone gets me a clean sheet, or I hopefully get a lot of clearances going here.
Before you keep going, my thought, because I was looking at Chelsea too, and I was kind of like debating on like what to do with them. Here's why I didn't choose a Chelsea player, Chad.
Cool, go for it.
Their last 6 games: West Ham 1-1,
yeah,
Fulham 0-0, Liverpool 0-0, Crystal Palace 1-0, Fulham they lost 2-1, Man City they lost 4-0. They have not played a really, really, really good side in a while. And I think they're in this mentality of like, this is normal. We're going to play the Fulhams and whoever, the West Ham. And then Dortmund's just going to come in there and say, this is hilariously easy and we're going to dominate you all game.
I hope so. I mean, I'd love to see Chelsea get destroyed.
Just my thought.
Especially by Dortmund. But yeah, it was just so hard to pick. Like I almost took Enzo, but again, is like without looking back as much as you did, I kind of like had the same feeling of like, well, they don't necessarily play great these days, but he's probably one of their most promising players at the moment.
Dortmund's hot right now too.
Yeah, Dortmund's looking good. My other defender was Upamecano from Bayern. Kind of the same reason, like since I have him and Marquinhos, like Bayern and PSG, I think are both kind of just not playing exceptionally well, or really even scoring as much as we would probably expect them to. So yeah. I think just take some defenders and hope you get some clearances or maybe a clean sheet out of it and take some easy points, hopefully.
We might see a scoreless first game if everyone's, relaxing.
Yeah.
All right, what's your keeper?
Meret from Napoli.
Oh, okay. I'm going. Go ahead.
I just figured should be an easy clean sheet, because not only is Napoli playing really well, but really they're going against where is it?
They've only allowed 15 goals in the league.
Yeah. And they're going against Frankfurt, which they're fine, but Napoli's been performing this year, so I think it should be an easy win for them. Who'd you take?
Where is Frankfurt in this other 6 right now? Oh, I took Tata Rossanu from AC Milan.
What a name!
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's from.
Tata Rossanu.
Tatarusanu. He is from Romania.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So can't really pronounce his first name. Ciprian? Tatarazanu? I might be.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a tricky one.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I didn't want to go too crazy, but then I felt like I had to try and differentiate a little bit to, everyone's going to take Haaland. Everyone's probably taking Benzema.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, that whole PSG front line is just kind of questionable, and they don't really have any standout midfielders. Like,
I'm down by so much.
Yeah, you got ground to make up for sure.
No Liverpool?
No, I mean, my only real consideration was Salah. I thought about taking Alisson, but I don't know. It's just...
I'm not going to give you a hard time about it.
Yeah, it's They just haven't. If they weren't playing Madrid, maybe, but
I know.
I think, and it's not even that I'm worried about Allison. It's just the defensive line is, I don't think, going to stand up too well to Madrid.
Well, ask yourself this question: when's the last time Liverpool beat Real Madrid?
Oof. Couldn't tell you.
I couldn't tell you either. 2009.
That's quite a while ago. Well, maybe they'll just they got the win and excitement from Everton. They're gonna go crush Newcastle, and then Madrid, you're in our sights.
Yeah, this is the year. All the other years we've been full strength. This is the one. That would be pretty crazy, though.
That would. I mean,
no expectations. I'm not going to do it, but it would be crazy. Don't put these thoughts in my head.
No. You can have
could you imagine?
Some optimism, but, yeah.
Could you imagine? Dude, that could actually save our season.
Well, that's kind of my thinking with Liverpool and Chelsea is like the league to win is definitely, pretty much out of question. Top four is like still kind of there, like not as hard as I think it might look at the table, but yeah, I mean, you're 9th and 10th right now, so I feel like they would put a lot of focus on these games to get as far as you can, and then if you win Champions League, you're already in it next year, so it doesn't really matter where you ended up in the league table this year. So
I mean, what if we go up against because Porto and Inter are up against each other, and Inter's been kind of sucking lately. City's probably going to hang around, and we own City. Honestly, Dortmund and Chelsea, one of those. Bruges and Benfica, AC Milan and Tottenham. There's a lot of matchups that could happen where it would be beneficial to us. Honestly, the Madrid team is probably this is probably the worst matchup we could have got.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of your harder ones.
Napoli would have sucked because they already owned us.
Yeah. But I mean, Napoli, yeah, you got out of the way in the group stages, so that was kind of nice. Yeah, I mean, there's always the chance. Like,
I gotta stop. We got a couple weeks, 2 weeks, at least a week.
Don't get ahead of yourself. Yeah.
The 21st, right? I think so. 21st. Yeah.
21st. Yeah. You watching any games tomorrow, or AC Milan, Tottenham, and PSG Bayern?
Yeah,
tomorrow?
those games start at 2 my time, so I think I can watch a good chunk of them.
All right. I'm disappointed that Dortmund Chelsea games on Wednesday because I'll clearly be occupied watching Arsenal and City.
What time does that game start?
11:30 here. So 1:30 for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I can watch that one.
Yeah.
So. All right, man. That was a lot of footy chalk.
Yeah. So what goal of the week was Willian?
Oh yeah, goal of the week Willian.
Team of the week Leicester.
The
only players I had were Iheanacho and Madison. They both had a goal and an assist.
Yeah, I think we go. That's tough. Do we coin flip it? Who got a yellow? Didn't one of them get a yellow?
Madison got a yellow. So technically, I guess worse off, but I don't know.
Let's just do a quick stats. How about whoever got the most fantasy points we give it to? Because I mean, they're dead even.
Yeah. True.
Who had more shots? Iheanacho had one more shot. They're equal on dribbles. You want to split it?
I mean, yeah, I'm fine with that. We
co-player
gave it to the Burnley Bros last week, so
I'm happy to split it.
Yeah,
I mean they both deserve it. There's no one else that is better than them this week, right?
Yeah, no one else really stood out too much to me.
They both had a goal and an assist. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? All right, we'll split it. Call it even. Team of the week, players of the week, Willian goal of the week. Oh, the Willian one was so good. Props. All right, Chad. Episode 24 in the books.
Whew, big one.
Another late one.
Yeah. Yeah. Next week should be back on track. Right? Maybe.
No.
No.
Probably Monday. We'll shoot for Monday night again.
All right.
Busy weekend. Unless it gets snowed out. We could have some snow days. So
okay.
We'll see. But
cool.
Yeah. Champions League tomorrow. Arsenal Wednesday. Good luck.
Oof.
We'll be watching.
I'm going to get more and more nervous the closer it gets.
I can tell. Rest up. Deep breath. Episode 24. Hooligan's pitch. We're out.